Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys all have a blessed day. Mine's going pretty good. We actually got some nice weather, so I'm able to come out in the garage and open up the garage door and do a little bit of piddling around. But man, I'll tell you what, we are getting sprayed chemtrails morning, noon, and night. If it's not pouring down rain, the minute it quits raining, you see the planes up there spraying. So it's just relentless. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you for just a minute about something that it affects my life every once in a while, and so I'm sure it affects yours too. And that is that pesky little pet sin. And we've all got one, every one of us. And as soon as you get rid of the pesky little sin that's bothering you right now, pesky little sin too gets promoted. But it seems like we've always got that one thing in our life that we're struggling with. Well, listen, what happens if you ignore it? Like if you've got some pesky little sin in your life that God's telling you, look, you need to get this out of your life. Well, if you ignore it, will it just magically go away? I don't think so. But listen, if you ignore it, there's three things that are going to happen. And I have proved this in my life over and over and over again. And trust me, I know what I'm talking about. And as soon as I start telling you guys, you're going to identify with it. So listen, if you have that pesky little sin that you're not doing anything about, you're just letting it ride, the first thing that's going to happen is you're giving the demonic host legal access to your life. You're giving the demonic host legal access to harass you, and the last thing in the world you need is for the demonic host to have access to your life, because they will tear you up. And the worst thing is once they come in, and it's because of that pesky little sin that you refuse to deal with, listen, your prayer life suffers. You're not even going to be able to pray about it because you brought it on yourself. So listen, the first thing that happens after the demonic host has access to your life, the first thing that happens is your finances begin to suffer. Right off the bat, your finances begin to suffer. All of a sudden, your paycheck doesn't make it to the end of the pay period. All of a sudden, you're having to start draw money out of savings instead of putting money into savings. Your finances begin to suffer. Things start breaking. Your cars, things around the house, things start breaking that cost you money. And the reason is because when you were living according to God's will, He rebuked the devourer. He protected everything you own. But because you gave the demonic forces access to your life, now that hedge of protection is gone. Malachi 3:11 is very clear. It says, "And I will rebuke the devourer for your sake, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, says the Lord of hosts." So listen, if you have a secret sin and you deal with it, God will rebuke the devourer. Well, the exact opposite's true. If you don't deal with it and get rid of it, the devourer is going to come in and wipe you out. So your finances, right after the demonic host comes in, your finances is the first thing to suffer. And the next thing is, if you refuse to deal with that pesky little secret sin, your health will suffer. Your health will absolutely suffer. Things are going to start going wrong. People, I've proved this in my life more than once. I've had some pesky little sin that I didn't want to deal with, didn't want to get rid of it. First thing that happened was demonic host came in. Second thing that happened was my finances started to suffer. Things started to just disintegrate all around me. And the last thing is your health will begin to suffer. And your health suffers because of stress, because of worry, because you're not praying about it. It's just a downhill spiral. So listen, this is what it says in Proverbs 3:7 and 8. It says, "Be not wise in your own eyes, fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It will be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones." Solomon's telling us here that your living according to God's will has a direct correlation with your health. And when you have a pesky little sin in there, your health will suffer. It just will. So what do you do? You know what? What do you do? And people, I'm not saying we're going to live sin-free. We're not. You know that. I've said that to you 100 times. We all sin every day. I'm talking about that pesky little sin. And you know what it is because the Lord's dealing with you every day about it. That pesky little thing that you either don't want to get rid of, you're just trying to ignore it. Well, listen, this is what Isaiah tells us. He says, thy ears shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk in it, when you turn to the right or when you turn to the left. People, listen. If there's something in your life that God doesn't want there, that pesky little sin, He will let you know it. And it'll be in your heart. You'll be saying, this isn't right. I need to get rid of this. People, listen, if you will ask God, if you will acknowledge that pesky little sin, if you'll say, Lord, I know this is not right, but Lord, I've been dealing with this so long, Lord, I can't get rid of it. People, I've had things in my life that I could not get rid of. And I asked God, and I finally cried out to God, and He removed it for me. And He'll do the same thing to you. But you got to admit that it's there, and then ask God to help you. And then do whatever you can to keep you away from that situation. This is what Jeremiah 6:16 says. And this is the verse that's on the back of all my ministry cards. Thus saith the Lord, stand at the crossroads and look, and ask for the ancient path where the good way is, and walk therein, and you will find rest for your soul. People, listen. 3 things are going to happen to you if you have a pesky little sin that you refuse to deal with. Number 1, the demonic host is going to come in. Number 2, the first thing that demonic host is going to do when they come in, they're going to trash your finances. They're going to rebuke the devourer, is going to be gone. They're going to start devouring everything you have. And the last thing is, your health is going to suffer. So whatever it is, whatever that number 1 pesky little sin is, get rid of it. Deal with it. And then when you get done with that, pesky little sin number 2 will get promoted, and then we'll have to deal with that one later. All right. I just want to give you guys something to think about. Heaven or hell, you choose. Just remember, once you take your last breath, it's a done deal.